right? And some of our people are affected by it. They are so apologetic that they start to wash away Islam. No, hold on, we need to reform Islam, we need to change our sources. Or maybe we need to just reject these sources. No, we don't believe in this. This is not true, this can't be true. Because it doesn't get into our mind. Our minds are conditioned by liberal, secular way of thinking. Yes? Yes, we have been colonized. Yes? What was the age of marriage in England?
18.
When?
That's just now.
In 1880s. When?
1880.
In 1880s. How long ago is that? 130 years ago. 130 years ago. What was the legal age of marriage in Britain? Here. What was it? Do you know? No. 12. 12 years old, girl could be married in Britain as late as 1880s. And it doesn't stop there. Wait, listen carefully now. If someone got married to a younger girl at the age of 10 or even 9, the marriage is imperfect in the law, but it is, however, valid. Do you understand what that means? The marriage is valid. You cannot separate the man and the woman. It is not illegal. You have to understand this point. If a man got married to a 10-year-old girl in Britain in the year 1880, the marriage was not illegal. The man cannot be held accountable according to the law. Where do I get this from? William Blackstone, who was a judge, who wrote commentaries on the English law in the 1760s. I have the actual copy published in 1787 in my library. Okay, 4 volumes work. It was published in 1760s, and many more editions were published later on. And then I have another copy, an updated copy, published in 1868 of the same book, and it was updated up to the time. Okay, so up to 1868, the age of consent, what we call the age of marriage, legal age of marriage for girls, was 12 years old. Today, if you get married to a 12 years old girl, what will people call you? Pedophile. They'll call you a pervert. They'll call you a pedophile, right? So what do we learn from this example? We learn that in the as late as 1880s, this was not a socially abhorrent practice. It was completely socially acceptable. Legally, socially, it was acceptable. No one could raise a finger at a person who got married to a 12, 11 or 10 years old girl in Britain, in England. So before we jump to the Prophet ﷺ in the 7th century and point a finger at him, we need to make our way back gradually, right? And then it starts to make sense. So when you apply a 21st century standard on a man from the 7th century, we call it anachronism. Anachronism is like a fallacy when you apply a later standard to judge an early personality. Okay? For example, if you start to say people were stupid, well, in those days they used to ride camels. Would that be fair? Would that be fair? Of course not. Because they didn't have cars or jets, right? So the only means they had available. Likewise, there were things socially acceptable at that time. Today they have become unacceptable due to a number of socio-political or socio-economic reasons. Call it what you like, right? But up to the 19th century, the year 1900, this was not an abhorrent thing in the world, in the entire planet.
How do you claim then that the Prophet ﷺ was for all times, all generations?
Yes, that's a good question. So that's a good question. Now how do we answer that point? That if his sunnah is not applicable today, how do we respond to that point?
It's applicable in
Of course it is.
some ways in the
No, it is.
world.
That's the point. If it's applicable today, how do you respond to that issue, right? So in Islam, we don't go by the secular or liberal conventions. In the lands of Islam, when a girl reaches, who is a child? What is the definition of child? Child In Google, you will get a definition of a child. A child is someone who is below the age of puberty. Someone who hits the age of puberty is no longer a child, right? And go and check medical records. Go and study medical journals. When do girls hit the age of puberty? When do they hit the age of puberty? Not that it is something recommended. We don't say this is our normal practice in Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a messenger of Allah. He gave us limits. For example, he told us that you can get married to girls when they hit the age of puberty, as long as they are physically able, as long as they're physical. Who decides that? What do we know from the Prophet's life? Abu Bakr came, the parents decide when the girl is ready for marriage. Ready for marriage physically. So how do we know in this case what happened? Abu Bakr came to the Prophet ﷺ that my daughter is ready. Ready for what? Was the Prophet running after her? When is Aisha ready? I'm dying for her. No, there's nothing like that. Abu Bakr, the father, came to the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, my daughter is ready. Ready for what? She is ready to be taken into your house. This is how the Arabs worked. When they saw their daughters have they have hit the age of puberty and they are physically able to have a sexual relationship with the husband, alas, they wouldn't wait for them to become 18 years old or 25 years old or even 30 years old. No. As soon as they are ready, according to them, they would send them to the husband's house. Okay? Do we have to do it today? No, we don't. We don't have to do it today. Is it obligatory in Islam? No. It only defines the earliest limit of a marriageable age, when someone hits the age of puberty. Go and check medical journals and you will see when girls usually hit the age of puberty. Okay? Now, whether you believe me or not, there are children, as they are regarded as children in Britain. There are girls as young as 10, 11, 9 are having sex with boys 12, 13, 14 years old, and the law is completely powerless in their case. They are having sexual relations in bushes on every single weekend, in the parks. They are out and about, and I'm not saying this is the norm, but this is a very common thing that happens there. If you don't believe me, go to the people who are dealing with these cases. Go to clinics. Go to clinics where they give advice on sexual matters, and they will tell you the kind of problems the society is having. Okay? So there are many things we can look at. When you start to go into the depth of this matter, when you start to go into the details, it starts to make sense. So if you accuse the Prophet ﷺ of a crime, then start with the British gentlemen. English gentlemen walking around in England with the top hats and with the sticks, the way they used to dress, with suits and very nice dress code, dress code in the 19th century. That's why they were called English gentlemen. They looked like gentlemen. These gentlemen, in some cases, were getting married to girls as young as 12, 11, 13, and there was nothing wrong with that. This is why no one, listen carefully now, no one criticized the Prophet of Islam for this, for getting married to Aisha. No one until the year 1900. Until the year 1900. So many people, so many Orientalists wrote books on the Prophet, criticizing him of being a liar, being an impostor. In fact, in 1698, I have this book in my possession. There was a man called Prideaux. He wrote a book titled The Nature of Imposture, the life of Mahomet. They used to spell the name of the Prophet ﷺ as M-A-H-O-M-E-T. Okay, they wouldn't write Muhammad, they would Mahomet, because the Turks used to pronounce it like that, right? So they followed that pronunciation, right? No mention of Aisha and her age. And it's clearly documented in Islamic sources when the Prophet got married to her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No mention of Aisha radiallahu anha in any of the biographies written by the Orientalists in the 18th century. People like Simon Oakley, he wrote a life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People like Edward Gibbon, who was writing in the late 18th century, in 1770s and 1790s when he finished his the history of the decline and the fall of the Roman Empire. No mention of this issue. No, why did Muhammad get married to a young girl? Allahu Akbar. No mention of it. No criticism on that. Because it was the norm in the societies. No mention of the Prophet ﷺ getting married to Aisha, even in the 19th century when people are writing polemics against the Prophet ﷺ. One of them wrote 4 volumes on the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. William Muir. William Muir was a British political agent in India who was a mustashrik, an Orientalist and a missionary, a Christian missionary. No mention of Aisha radiallahu anha, no criticism. There is a mention of Aisha radiallahu anha, but there is no criticism of the Prophet ﷺ because of this. So what does that tell you? That tells you that this was not an issue for them. It became an issue when we walked into the modern liberal secular age, when everything changed, all standards changed, when we became increasingly atheistic, when we became less traditional, right?
Yes, until now as well in America, they have similar ages for marriage in Massachusetts.
Yeah. I think they're changing it now because they look like hypocrites now if they don't change it. So they're trying to change it.
Still, but
I don't know whether it's still on, but I know what you're talking about. That there is a state where the age of consent is very. Yeah, exactly. There are some other countries around the world still. Malta until very recently, the age of consent there was 14, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so people of Malta, are they pedophiles? According to the British standard, they are.
yes.
They are pedophiles, right? So is this fair? No, it's not fair. Let people have their cultural practices, as long as these practices are not harming. Like sometimes people do practice this in a very barbaric way, unfortunately, because they don't have the adab and the akhlaq of Islam, right? Do you think Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would deliberately hurt Aisha? He would deliberately hurt Aisha when a woman is not able to have sexual intercourse. Do you think the Prophet ﷺ would force himself? It's against the ethics of Islam. It's against the ethics of Islam. Some people in Yemen, there were cases where they got married to young girls and they, grown men, and sometimes the girls were too small. They were petite. They were not able to have. So it is the decision of the parents when the girl is ready for that. And in fact, during the Ottoman period, the Qadi would decide whether the girl is, they would actually, the case would be taken to the Qadi, okay? And the Qadi would say, okay, she's ready. Otherwise, if he says, no, sorry, wait for some time, and they would wait. So Islam is not jungle justice, it's not, jungle practice. Rather, it has rules and regulations. So again, the point is, I've spent so long now explaining this. Have I given you dawah now? Tell me. You may even be convinced. You may even be thinking, you know what? Yeah, that's a reasonable explanation. Anyone reasonable, because I've used this with people. And they have agreed with me that you're right. Anyone who attacks the Prophet of Islam on that basis is simply inconsistent and being hypocritical. Because this was not a problem at the time. Okay, it seems like a very huge problem now, but at that time no one cared because this was a very common practice. It was happening all over the world, right? So, but then I've killed how long in front of you right now? 20 minutes? Yes, explaining this problem, and I have a lot more to share on this very issue. There are so many different angles that I can come from to defend the honor of the Prophet ﷺ. But am I actually giving dawah? I'm giving you juz. I'm dealing with the juz, and juz is not full. And you don't have the time. If you start to deal with all the ajza, you're finished. You will never give dawah. So now we are convinced that we can never satisfactorily. What is dawah now? What is dawah? Calling to Allah. And if you start to play this game, it will never end. It is a never-ending game. We can answer all of them, every single one of them. We do it every week in London, in Speaker's Corner. Every week we are dealing with these questions and we answer them every week. Okay? But are we actually giving dawah? Now is the question. Now is the crux of the matter. So now we are all convinced that this is not the right way. If the purpose is to give dawah, then this is not. If the purpose is to get people to accept your intelligence, that you're a very intelligent person, you're a historian, you're an intellectual, you are able to defend Islam effectively, you can stand up for Islam. Yeah, if that's your purpose, fine, continue with this strategy. But if your purpose is to give da'wah, which is your obligation, then this is not the way to do it. Because it will never end. This stage is after you have given da'wah. So what do we do when people come with these questions? Yeah, sorry?
And I followed what you said the corner, when you answered the question.
Yeah,
The same people who you answered,
yeah.
he came next week and
Same.
started telling the same thing.
Same, yes. They
Even he
don't.
answered and
Yeah.
he said, and he will have.
Yes.
He just left because you stopped it.
Yeah.
Because he,
Yeah.
And then he came next week.
Yeah.
I followed him and
Yeah.
he's doing the
Same thing with other people. Yes.
With other people in
Yeah.
different places. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's how they do it. So this is why you, with people like that, you can't do nothing. You can't change their minds. They are sealed. Summun bukmun umyun fahum la yarji'un. These people will not listen to you. You are only using them as a tool to get the message out. So the people, Muslims around the world, can learn from your answers, okay, and have the answers. But when it comes to giving da'wah, it has to be given as follows, inshallah ta'ala, as we will follow. So now we have seen, we're not going to do this case study. So, what are the most difficult questions people have asked? Why does Islam, why do Muslims, why do women, blah, 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 list goes on. Yeah, why? Now, after doing that long exercise in front of you, are you satisfied with your answers? Are you? Have you satisfied your opponent or the questioner? In most cases, no. In some cases, yes. Have you been leading the discussion? Have you? Or were you on the back foot? You were on the back foot. You were on the defensive. So it's natural that you will be feeling pressured. Did you call to Allah? Did you call to Allah at any time? Although it's indirectly calling to Allah, indirectly, going around the UK and coming back to Norwich. Yeah? You want to go to, for example, if you want to go to the next neighborhood, instead of going to the neighborhood, you go to London and then go from M11 and then come from another way back to Norwich and go to that neighborhood. This is what you're doing, right? Eventually you will end up there. Okay, but you haven't called to Allah. And you may not get the chance. By the time you are about to get to Allah, the person is already sick of hearing all your answers. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to go. I don't have time. So you haven't called to Allah. What have you achieved? At best, you have achieved that the person who is listening to you, yeah, you're a very intelligent person, mashallah, tabarakallah. Okay, now what? Does he have to make sajda to you? No. It doesn't matter if you're intelligent or not. If you haven't called the person to Allah, it doesn't matter how intelligent or how many PhDs or how many qualifications you have. It doesn't matter because you have lost that person. Your potential, Muslim, the person who could start thinking about his creator, you have lost the chance. So it doesn't matter what he thinks of you. It doesn't matter. Did you reach your objective, which is dawah? No, you did not. Did you water down the religion? Yes. Did you compromise your religion? Some cases, like, not to, put you on the spot here. Like you said, she was older, right? Why? Why did you say that? You want to completely, just go around the issue. You don't want to deal with it head on. So sometimes you are...
know the information.
Or maybe you don't know the complete picture of the reports and the isnad and the chains and the authenticity of the reports. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you have read something online with some idiots. Some, people like, Adnan Ibrahim?
Yes.
You know him?
Yeah, you say.
He's a very educated man, but he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say this, yeah? Very eloquent, very effective communicator, a very good lecturer, but he is a pure idiot because he's spreading false ideas in the name of Islam. He's using his eloquence and his partial knowledge of Islam to misguide thousands of people around the world. Now people who have no knowledge of Islam, they listen to him and they think, oh, this is a man because he's giving them what they want to hear, right? So what do you do if there's a difficult question? Just completely deny the source. Oh, it doesn't exist. We don't believe in it. It's not authentic. And he starts to point problems with it. So we water down our Islam. Or lie about Allah and His Messenger. We start to lie. Plain lying sometimes. No. Islam doesn't have this. Or did you fall into useless arguments? You did, right? Useless arguments, non-stop arguments. So the conclusion is that going into these questions will never end the cycle. And you may not be able to answer all those questions. You may spend half an hour or maybe an hour debating one question. Each question, see those big volumes there over there? Your Mushkil al-Athar, Sahih ibn Hibban, yeah? Ulama have written all those volumes on these very questions. Do you have the time to deliver those answers in 3 to 4 minutes? Because that's all you have with that person, that non-Muslim. He doesn't want to know what Imam al-Tahawi or Imam Malik or the people who wrote the shuruhat on these hadiths. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't know these people. You don't know. We haven't read those books, right? So the point is, how can we simply deliver the message of Islam in the most effective way? Now we will deal with the question. And you will, inshallah ta'ala, by the end of the course, you will feel very empowered. You will see how effective and how powerful this approach is. You will see, inshallah. Why it fails, this methodology we talked about, the endless cycle of questioning, answers that do not satisfy the questioner, door to argumentation, and then having a false perception of Islam in the mind of the person, the person who is questioning. Maybe you give him the wrong answers, and then he walks away with false perception of Islam. Why do you think people ask these questions? Why? Because they've heard this on the news, right? They heard it from someone, or they came across it on internet, right? And they start to wonder, how can people believe in a religion like this? You must be really stupid. You must be thick. You must be thick to believe in a religion like Islam. This is also people are thinking out there, because they don't know the rational basis of Islam. They have no idea why we believe in Islam. They think we believe in Islam blindly. We don't have any rational basis. We don't have any intellectual basis. When Allah says, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ أَفَلَا يَتَفَكَّرُونَ أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ, okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again and again is raising our awareness, do you not think? Do you not contemplate? أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ. All of these points are in the Quran, yes? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be awake. Do you have to answer every question? No, you don't have to answer every question. In fact, some of the scholars who, received questions, they believed anyone who answers all questions is a fool. Is a fool. Imam Malik, a man came from Al-Andalus, from Spain to Medina. You know how far that is? At the time of Imam Malik, that was at least 6 months journey. At least. You brothers from Aljazair, right? Huh? You've seen the terrain? Have you crossed Aljazair from border to border? From Morocco to Libya? Huh? I've done it. I've done it. Even in a vehicle, even in a van or a car, there are places we pass through, Allahu Akbar, we think, whoa, this is in the middle of nowhere. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine at that time on horses and camels. Libya, 2,000 kilometers. The stretch, the Libyan territory is 2,000 kilometers from Aljazair to Egypt. From Tunisia. From Tunisia to Egypt is 2,000 kilometers. So imagine crossing all of that. A man came to Imam Malik. He had 10 questions. Imam Malik answered 3 of them, and 7 he said, La adri, la adri, la adri. And the man said, I came from Al-Andalus. I came from Spain. He said, yes, go back and tell them Malik doesn't know. Allahu Akbar. Malik doesn't know. He didn't want to give fatwas on those questions. So nowadays everyone thinks, mashallah, no problem. Everyone wants to give fatwas voluntarily. So what is the best way to respond now? To all these questions, there is a very powerful answer to all these questions. You can send away this person who is asking these questions completely baffled, completely flipped upside down. This person came to you fully charged, charging into you, trying to damage your iman, damage you. But this person, when in Japanese martial arts, It's called Aikido. Is that what it's called? Yeah. When you use the opponent's force to,
Take those.
yes, you use the opponent's force to attack the opponent. You don't have to do nothing. So this is the strategy of da'wah, calling to Allah. The opponent is coming to you with full force, not knowing what the opponent is walking into. And then when you start to do when you give the ultimate answer, the opponent is shaken. Let's see how. Now we're dealing with the beginning of the answer. We have an approach called GORAP. It's just a word, an abbreviation we're using for convenience. It is to remember it, so that we remember it in our minds. For the sake of convenience, we're using this term called GORAP. What does it stand for? It's very important. Okay? This is what it stands for. GORAP. G stands for God's existence. Number one, God's existence. Number two, His Tawheed, oneness. First point is He exists. Second point is He is one. Number three is revelation. He exists, He is one, and He has sent down revelations. Number four, prophethood. Prophethood. He has sent prophets who are true to the word they were given by the Creator. Is that clear? So this is the approach. This is the ultimate answer to all these questions. You will see why and how once we go through it, inshallah, in 3 to 4 minutes. Once you are trained in this methodology, you can completely change someone's life, someone's world, completely flip them upside down. This person will walk away completely baffled. Try it, inshallah. When you practice it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's get on with the approach. So now we have seen that all these questions, we cannot answer them satisfactorily. So we need to give them one answer that answers all their questions. All the questions, one answer. One answer to all this person's questions, and others which he or she hasn't yet asked will also be answered. What we call, once and for all, dealing with the problem once and for all. The logic of GORAP approach, this approach, the logic. God is the most wise and all-knowing. Once it's established that God exists, then we have to surrender to His wisdom and His power. Yes? Human beings are not powerful and wise like God, the Creator. Therefore, human beings should submit to God. But to convince someone, we need to show to the questioner, God exists, He is one, He sent down revelations, and the prophets who brought revelations were true. They were true prophets. They were not impostors. They were not liars. They were not deceivers or actors. Okay? These are the 4 things we will have to show very quickly within 3 to 4 or 5 minutes. And we will see how we do that, inshallah. The benefit is one answer to most questions. Calls to Tawheed first, which is what we are supposed to be doing. It calls to Allah directly. Ilallah. Da'wah ilallah. Establishes a firm foundation for your rational basis. Why do you actually believe in Islam? Okay? This may not be making sense at the moment, but when we go into the stages, you will see exactly how it makes sense. Explains the essence of Islam. What is the essence of Islam? What is the essence of Islam? The core of Islam is, sorry? La ilaha illallah. There is no one worthy of worship except Allah, the Creator. Right? Reasoned and logical. It will make perfect sense to the listener. It will make perfect sense, inshallah. Avoid difficult questions, and the person, once you get the attention of the person you're talking to, these questions will one after another leave his or her mind. They will start to go away. Because now you have made sense of your belief. Now you've explained why you believe in what you believe in. Cuts potential for arguments. Argument is out of the window. Once this picture starts to become clear, once they start to see that you are not stupid, you're not thick, you're not a blind follower who's just completely redundant of intelligence. No, that person will start to now think, no, hold on a second, these people, they have very strong basis for their belief. So GORAP is a rough idea, it's a map, use it as a map, as a track, okay? Okay, you don't have to become robots. Is that clear? What do robots do? They work in specific ways as they have been designed. We don't need robots. Every single person is an individual, is an independent thinker, so you have to do things in your own way. Understand the steps rather than memorizing the words.